Good morning and welcome to today's first in the series of Workplace Representative Educational Sessions. My name is Yvonne Harris and I am a practice advisor with the SRNA. I also serve as the liaison between the workplace representatives and the SRNA. Before we get started, I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on treaty land, regardless of where we sit. In Regina, we are on Treaty 4 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We thank those who have taken care of this land and share it with us today. We are all treaty people. I would like to thank everyone for being here, and I would like to start by doing some housekeeping items. I just want to let you know that this session is being monitored, and we are monitoring it for any questions that come up during the session. If you do have a question, type it into the engagement box and it will be forwarded to the panel to answer. There will be time at the end of the session for questions. If the panelists do not have time to answer the questions, we'll make sure that we follow up with you offline. This session is designed to be 30 minutes in length, give or take, and it is also being recorded for later viewing. Okay, so let's get started. What is a workplace rep? Well, today's session is meant to offer you some insight into the role of the workplace rep and how your workplace rep can support you as a registered nurse and registered nursing in Saskatchewan. Our panelists today, Lori Bowen, Jan Cochran, and Rochelle Visco, are three workplace reps who have kindly offered to share their workplace representative insights and experience with you. So thank you to Rochelle, Lori, and Jan. And I will now hand the session over to each of them to share a brief introduction with themselves. So Rochelle, if you'll go first, and then Lori, and then Jan.
Good morning. My name is Rochelle Visco. I've been a registered nurse for about 3 years and a workplace representative for 2. I primarily work in rural northern Saskatchewan. Yeah, nice to meet everybody.
Hi everybody, I hope you can hear me through my mask. It's Lori Bowen. I've been a registered nurse for 17 years in Regina and then moved up to Saskatoon. And so this role is actually very, very new for me. I'll speak to kind of why I decided to step into this role, but that's me in a nutshell so far.
Hello, I'm Jan Cochran, and I've been a registered nurse for 47 years, and very passionate about my job. And I am presently doing different contracts, so I'm working with student nurses right now at the U of S, as well as I'm a diabetes educator at James Smith First Nations.
All right, so thank you, Rochelle, Lori, and Jan, for your introductions. So I have a first question, and that is, I would like to begin by asking, I'll ask each of the panelists, but what helped you decide to become a workplace rep? So Lori, as you said, you're new to this and this is very new to you. So would you be the first to answer that question?
Sure. I think for me, what struck me interesting was just the genuine interest in communicating with colleagues about health issues. And really, I guess, building a community at work and, you know, knowing that we have that commonality of being registered nurses and having that discussion across the board about the healthcare issues. I also kind of wanted to make that decision to dedicate time to be the conduit almost between the SRNA and my colleagues as well. So that was the instigating factor for me, and a genuine interest in giving back to and being part of the organization as a registered nurse.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Rochelle.
Oh, why did I become a workplace rep? As I mentioned, I'm 3 years into my career as a nurse. And I think it was in the first year of my career that I had gone to a SUN meeting, and there was a workplace rep table there. And I said, what is a workplace rep? And they explained it to me. And that's how I got my interest in it. I think it's really important. As I mentioned, I'm in rural Saskatchewan, so worked for the former Prairie North, former K-Wotton, as well as Prince Albert. And not a lot of people know what a workplace rep is or if there was any in their area. So I think it's a very important role within the SRNA.
Thank you, Rochelle. Jan.
Well, I've been in a workplace rep now for 11 years. So back then, I was teaching students and in leadership, and one of them was to talk about the SRNA and the role. As well, I had another job where I was involved with RNs, and I realized that I didn't know anything. And so I was almost embarrassed that I didn't know anything about my own organization. So I either go hard or go home. So I thought, you know what, dive in there and find out what resources there are, and continued from there.
That is wonderful. Thank you. And I think you speak to a lot of people who say, you know, maybe I do need to know more about my organization. So I think you spoke well to that. So when we think of workplace representative activities, what is the average amount of time that you spend doing workplace rep activities in your organization? So Rochelle, if you want to start first.
The amount of time that I spend in general is not very much. We do receive a package once a year during Nurses Week, and there's a lot of promotion. I do a little bit of organizing around the workplace in regards to that. And just general, if people have questions, I couldn't place an exact amount of time. Just depends on the issue that is coming up.
Okay. And Jan, how about you?
It really depends on how much time you want to put into it.
Okay.
It depends again on what's happening, as Rochelle said. For Nurses Week, I really encourage students, or really encourage beefing up Nurses Week and take that opportunity to highlight the RN, and so I spend more time on that. Also, during elections, I really feel that our membership has to come to the plate, so I try and lobby for that. So it really varies, and you can, like I said, you can put in as much as you want. I've had in-services with staff as well, and we just have half an hour update over coffee, that sort of thing.
Okay, and this year being year of the nurse and midwife, a few extra, but then COVID decides to pop in and kind of change our entire way of doing things. So I think we have to rethink of how are we going to celebrate the role of the nurse this year. Lori, so as a workplace rep, you know, have you been able to sort of dedicate a lot of time yet in your becoming a new workplace rep?
Great question. I feel a lot like what Jan had said as well. I think you get what you put involved and engaged in the organization. And so part of that for me is that reflective piece and pausing and thinking, like gaining some feedback from your colleagues as well. So plus there's that training piece as well at the beginning, and so extremely valuable. And so far I feel like I've put quite a bit of time into it, just because I want to get a lot out of the role as well.
Okay, thank you. When you think of your role as a workplace rep, how do you see it when you're working or communicating with your colleagues? Lori, if you just want to sort of continue on.
So I think for me, if I had to identify it, for me, I feel like it's, you know, we're that conduit between the SRNA and your workplace. And again, I think at the beginning when I spoke about really creating that community, that really is kind of near and dear to my heart, is that community piece and building a community of practice, that we have a safe space to discuss health issues, and we can kind of brainstorm and collaborate together on how to move forward and advocate, I think, for a registered nursing practice as well. in this role too, I believe something that was really of value to me is that linking and connecting us all together. And again, I guess that speaks to the community piece, that you know, linking it to the provincial organization as a registration body as well.
Very good, thank you. Rochelle?
It depends on my location, right?
Sure.
It would be, it's a liaison of information. A lot, in my experience, a lot of nurses don't know much about the SRNA and what it does, or CNPS or things like that. So it's really good to share that information. Myself, as a newer nurse, I'm still learning, and I do enjoy sharing my learning with others.
Perfect. How about you, Jan?
Well, I felt that there was a disconnect from the top of SRNA down to the person in the field. And so I'm hoping that I'm that liaison, as you said, Rochelle, to be able to be there for the nurses, so that it's not so intimidating. If they have questions, or if they don't know where to go to, I have an understanding of the SRNA organization, so I can steer them in the right direction if they need help, and it just helps to make it easier to, rather than going right to the grand poobahs and not feeling that they can do that, to being the in-between person and getting them there.
Thank you. So Jan and Rochelle, you both talked about, you know, information or some questions that people might have. So is there some information that you feel is very important for member registrants or your colleagues or RNs to know about, that as workplace reps we can be sharing with them? What sort of questions or information do you feel would be, and you know, for all three of you, what sort of information do you feel would be very important to make sure that we always get out to the members, that workplace reps can maybe be sharing with them? I heard you say CNPS, and is that something that you think, oh, maybe we need to be talking more about this with our members? So Jan, if you want to just sort of continue, because you sort of got me on that roll.
I think of the updates as to what's been going on. So I keep them current as to what are the latest happenings in SRNA, and I'm disappointed that more people aren't going to Timed Right to find out what's going on. So I'm encouraging them to do that, and actually just sharing the information of what's going on. Also, again, with encouraging people to participate more in the elections, in Nurses Week. So I do that. I'm pleased that I'm actually also a workplace educator, which is the next step as a workplace rep. So the workplace educator can actually do in-services and speak at various facilities. So for instance, documentation was one that people really need review on, and of course we've all taken documentation in school, but it's a good reinforcement. A new one was made. When it came to the forefront, people were questioning and thinking, oh my gosh, what's happening there, and why is SRNA involved in that? So various issues that pop up, we can talk about. And again, if I don't know the information, I know where to go and to help people to navigate there.
Perfect, thank you. So we have, I do have a question, so we are getting some questions. One of them is what advice would you give to a colleague who is considering the workplace representative role? So, Laurie, do you want to start with that? If, you know, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. I think the advice I would is to jump in feet first. I think that I found myself really motivated and stuff. It's exciting to build the leadership skills that this role can offer, and I think that's amazing to see that Jan's been in this role for so long too. So I feel like the supportive environment has been a very good feature as well. To know for your workplace as well. So definitely jump in feet first. I don't think that I've never feeling overwhelmed. I think more the word that I would just put to be would be exciting. And
Rochelle, how about you? What advice would you give to a colleague who's considering becoming a workplace rep?
I would say do it.
That's a
I've enjoyed the experience, and personally, where I'm coming from, I'm in the north. There is a lot of nurses out here, but there's not a lot of workplace reps. So I would highly encourage it to anyone who is having any kind of interest in it.
Anne?
I would say you go, because also there's been so much support from the SRNA. So Yvonne and Terry Belcart before Yvonne are absolutely awesome, and they are really encouraging. They send out all kinds of resources if we need it, and are very helpful. So you're definitely not on your own. And I will have to apologize because I'm being selfish in saying that by being a workplace rep, you actually have the opportunity to perhaps get some of your SRNA annual meeting paid for. And also we try to connect face-to-face before COVID for a day. And I really enjoy meeting other colleagues, because sometimes you get stuck on the ward or get stuck in your own little place at work, and you don't see all the other opportunities that RNs have. And the workplace reps come from all avenues of life. So it's great to share.
Thank you. There's another question. How does moving from a dual mandate to a single mandate affect the goals and role of the workplace representative? So that's an interesting question. I don't know if someone wants to, or do you think it will affect your role as a workplace rep? When I see that question, I think, when you think of dual mandate, when you think of the three pillars of nursing, that the Nursing Association sort of represents what is happening in nursing, whereas the SRNA also looks at, public protection of the public, and then the union being the third pillar. As a workplace rep, you sort of have that opportunity to do, what can I do to help? And I'll ask each of you to sort of jump in on this. As a workplace rep, what can I do in my role to help influence and strengthen the role of nursing, so that it does ensure that we do have public protection? So I'm wondering if your thoughts on that. Do you feel that when we do transition from a dual mandate to a single mandate, that any of your goals will change, your goals as a workplace rep? So
I can, so this is a new role for me, but I can tell you that something that would be that stands out to me with that question is just being really invested in understanding the move and the shift and the changes and things like that.
Perfect.
And use that word conduit and using that leadership piece, but understanding what those three pillars mean, and bringing them to the appropriate people at the SRNA that can.
Good. Okay. Are you able to share some general feedback that you have received from your coworkers about the role of the workplace rep? Jan, do you want to start?
They appreciate the opportunity to talk to somebody at the local level. Again, just less intimidation and being able to speak directly to someone, sometimes face to face. And so I think they appreciate that. I think that no matter what area we work in, the RN is very, very busy. And sometimes it's difficult for them to take time to go on the website and to find out what's happening. And so this way we can kind of make it a little easier for them to learn without having to go through an extensive time to figure out what's been happening.
Perfect. It's yeah, so and these are all very, and especially in this time of registration and CCP, I would anticipate that there might be some more questions coming to you as workplace reps of what do I need to do for my CCP, or how can I make sure that I'm doing it properly? Is that a question that you sometimes get regarding CCP? And yes, so. And one of the, someone has said when we use acronyms, could we say what it stands for? So I know that when we talk about workplace representative and workplace educator, I know we've also talked a bit about CNPS. So just for clarification, CNPS stands for the Canadian Nurses Protective Society. So that's where we get our liability coverage from as registered nurses. So that's what that stands for. I don't see any more questions. Before we end the session, I'm just going to ask Rochelle, Lori, and Jan, each of you, is there anything that you feel that you'd like to share that we didn't get an opportunity to through the questions? Is there anything that you sort of final notes?
I think Jan said it best when she spoke about being supportive, having, you there to support, and you're never alone. I think jumping into this role and maybe being the only person in the workplace that is a representative, sometimes that can feel maybe a little bit secluded, and you feel maybe intimidated by that. But it's a very supportive role, and even just, speaking in this piece today, just having Jan and Rochelle there, beside you, it is a very, very supportive environment. So if that's something that maybe is hindering you in jumping in feet first, definitely know that it's a supportive role.
Okay, thanks.
I would just like to add that it really motivates me to stay connected and to keep current in what's going on with the organization. So I think that's really important. And you were talking about the dual roles or the dual mandate. So that is one reason why I am trying to participate in all the meetings this week so that I can get up to speed on that, because that's going to be a huge change. And so I think as a workplace rep, my role might be increasing over the next while, because there's going to be lots of questions and there's lots of rumors going around. So I need to get that correct information so that I can share it with my colleagues.
Thank you.
I don't know if this is a good time to, I always have a thought for the day.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is a good time to do my thought for the day, but if you think something so small can't make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. So you will make a difference as a workplace rep.
Wonderful. Okay. Rochelle, is there anything?
I would also just like everyone to know that the Workplace Rep program does do an educational day on a non-videos. So that's always a good opportunity to connect and do lots of learning. And again, I do encourage anyone who is interested in the role to take it up.
Thank you so much. One of the comments that has just come forward, as a workplace rep, and right at the very beginning, you did talk about the importance of communication. And as workplace reps, being a communication liaison will continue to be necessary. Education and support to meet our practice standards will still continue to be a role for workplace reps, and that is a role that we plan that as workplace reps, you will continue to provide that education and support regarding the practice standards when we transition to a single mandate. So your role is tremendously important and very much appreciated. And I thank you all. As you've come forward today as workplace reps, you have demonstrated your commitment to supporting your registered nurses in the registered nursing practice in Saskatchewan. So I would like to thank you, Lori, Jan, and Rochelle, for sharing your experience and for sharing your expertise. Thank you to all who have participated in today's session. Again, if you do have any comments or questions that continue, feel free to keep sending them in. I'll make sure that Lori, Rochelle, and Jan know about or informed of them, and I'll let them know about that. And yes, I think on that note, if there's nothing else, I would like to say enjoy your day and stay safe. Thank you.